Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast, coming in your ear holes.
October 1st, we smash it 10 yards tonight. The buck we call Pickles. A south wind pushing us back to the zag.
Got her stand on our backs.
Set it out and see what happens. You on it?
Huh?
Got the air going out of me.
Absolutely drilled him.
And boom, he's that good buck.
Go get my buck, then we're gonna go get homie's buck.
Urban piece as hell.
Got him. Pickles is dead.
Kevin Gates, both kills on hanging hunts.
My first public land buck.
Nice work, dude.
Look at that. Triple brow on the right.
I'm digging that.
Bucked out October 28th. An absolutely incredible season.
Here we go.
Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast. 5 years of saying the exact same line coming in your ear holes, and you guys are still here taking it like absolute champions.
You ain't lying.
All right. Well, we got Trey Pritchard on the line. He reached out. Guys killed 9 bucks, multiple different states the last 3 years. Been filming, ton of success, but we're doing a little episode for the PA boys, the Eastern boys this week. We're talking about bucking out in PA 3 years in a row. Really cool story. 3 different kind of strategies, 3 different kind of layouts of bucks. And they got bigger as he went along the 3 years, which I thought was cool too. But really cool guy and avid listener. So appreciate him reaching out and wanting to come on the show. We're going to get into the people that make this possible. We'll get right in it. Yeah, you got Exodus?
Yeah, guys. So
See, you're wearing that shirt, dude. Those
I know,
shirts are
dude.
crispy,
It
bro.
is. I love it. I
bought 2 at Iowa, and I was like, should have bought 4.
Yeah, I
Should've bought
got
4.
2. I was like, man, a third one would be really nice.
Yeah.
So guys, again, I'm going to go over this deal from Exodus right now, 7-year sale. If you're somebody that's been following the brand for the last 7 years and been hung up on trying one of the reliable cameras, now is the time to do it. So we got a special campaign going on right now until June 13th. So you guys still got 2 weeks left here. You're going to be able to use code YEAR7 and save 20% off the entire Exodus website. That's going to include the Borderline Bulletproof Exodus Render, any render bundle, and the SP Solar panel. Also some new merch that they have been throwing out here. So if you guys aren't familiar with the product line, the Render is their Verizon 4G LTE camera, and it provides some of the fastest transmission times out there on the market. And on top of that, it's about as user-friendly as it gets, and it flat out works when it matters most. So if you're not also familiar with the Exodus Advantage, there's 3 things. Got 5-year no BS warranty. That's huge. Also 5-year theft and damage coverage, and also the best-in-class customer service that we talk about on here all the time. So now's the time to really get in and get to experience the Exodus Render for you guys. And also coming up, we're going to be getting into Velvet Fest with the Exodus guys here. That's coming up in July. And don't forget, code YEAR7 for 20% off of the Exodus website. Link will be in the description of this show.
Yeah, make sure and follow their socials. They always give away some sweet stuff during Velvet Fest. So that'll be coming up real quick here. Let's get into Ride On Optics. We talk about the scopes. We talk about the binos. We talk about the spotting scopes. They also have scope accessories. They have all accessories. They have muzzle brakes, flash killers, scope mounts, scope rings, rails for your pistols, rail for your ARs, mounting kits. It's a one-stop shop there. And if you got a lifetime scope and the rings break, then you're like, man, I got to buy rings. But not if you have Ride On rings. It's all backed by that same lifetime warranty. Your rail wears out, it breaks, whatever, backed by lifetime warranty. A lot of times when you do break a scope, the rings do break. You thread out a scope, you're backing the screw in and out, and you thread it out. It's backed by a lifetime warranty. You ain't got to worry about it at all. You can check them out at rideonoptics.com.
That's it.
That it?
Let's get into the
right,
show, brother.
All right, let's get into the show. All right, we got Trey Pritchard on the line. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you reaching out to us and kind of sharing what you've done over the past few years with us. And you said, hey, if you ever need to fill a spot or you need someone short notice, I'm like, man, this is a main intro course for us. This is our main entree for our podcast. But appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I think I found you guys. I was on a flight and I saw like one of the Legends of the Woods, and I was like, this will pass the time on the flight. And then I started listening to it, and I was like, yeah, I can get with this. Now I'm pretty sure I've listened to every episode. So
nice. Well, I appreciate that, dude. Yeah, Legend of the Woods series is an idea we had like 3 years ago, and we just keep going with it. And most of the time, it's when either of us find a buck that we really want to know the story of. We just see a picture on social media. We have to like run down the guy, but a lot of times they got like a magazine deal or they want to release it on a show before they tell the story, which is understandable. So we have to wait. Like I got some on the line right now in the bank for when they can come back, and then I'll hit them in 6 months and say, hey, you good to go? And then go from there. But did you see my what I started on TikTok, homie?
No.
I have like 17 drafts of every Legend of the Woods episode, trail cam pics, breakdown of it, of all the deer, and I'm going to do like a series on there of videos, kind of like what you did with the bucks that we chased, but with Legend of the Woods.
Nice.
So that's starting to come out today. But,
good.
All right, Trey, well, let the listeners know a little bit about you, and then we'll get right into this.
Yeah, so I'm from small town Pennsylvania, pretty much middle of nowhere. I'm 25 and just love hunting whitetails. I ate up with it pretty much all my life, but the last like 3 or 4 years, it's been just pretty much all I can think about. That's pretty much it, man. I played college baseball, so that took up a lot of time, and since that ended, it's just trying to get out in the woods.
Nice. Well, the reason we wanted to have you on is you've been killing. Well, you said you killed nine deer in the last 3 years, right?
9 bucks in the last 3 years.
9 bucks in the last 3 years, which is incredible roll. But
well, hold on. Let me clarify here. $3 in PA.
Yeah, $3 in PA.
Only $1 states. I'm not out here like slaughtering $9 in PA. Let me just throw that out there. Yeah.
But the main reason we wanted to have you on was to talk about your PA bucks. It's a single buck state, and you're killing, older age class big deer for PA year after year after year. So you got something going on, something a little different that you're doing. So we just want to pick your brain about PA hunting and let you share the story of, the last 3 years up there. So wherever you want to start, just go ahead and rip it off. And
so I guess we'll start with the first one because, that would make the most sense. So after I graduated at school, I had to move to Washington, D.C. So I graduated in June, moved down to D.C., and I'm pretty sure my dad and my best friend felt bad for me because I was living in the city and hating life pretty much. So I wasn't home a lot in the summer, so I couldn't scout, couldn't hang stands, couldn't do anything like that. So my dad and my best friend just kind of did all the work for me, to be honest. I was lucky enough to grow up. We don't own any of the land that we hunt. It's all permission or, we have 2 out-of-state leases, but everything in PA is just knock on door permission. And they got a stand set up for me, and I went home the night before opening day. And first story is pretty simple. I went home the night before, hung out with them, went out the next morning, and I shot an 8-point about 15 minutes into legal light opening morning. And then I had to go back down to DC the next day. So kind of a welcome home party, but that one was pretty simple. I didn't have any history with that buck whatsoever. Like I said, they kind of did all the scouting and everything with that one. But the next 2 years got really interesting. So same job, but I moved back home. And this was the year that really kind of changed my outlook on whitetails in general. PA is really tough as far as, out in the Midwest, I feel like there's a lot more farms that are, 300, 400 acres. Where I'm from, like a 40, 50 acre piece is big. So it's really hard to develop history with deer for a couple of reasons. One, because if a deer's on your property, probably 10 of your neighbors also have that deer on camera. And the other thing is, like, we're not really known for big bucks. So, a buck gets a 2.5, he's getting shot. So it's hard to develop that history when everybody's just, if we have APRs, so if it has to have at least 3 on one side. If it's got 3 on one side, doesn't matter if it's a one-sided 3-point, it's getting shot at some point. So it's really hard to develop that history. And summer of 2020, I got this bachelor group of 3 bucks that were all just absolute studs. I know you guys like to name deer. My best friend's really into coming up with like creative names, really making them cool. I hate it. So as a joke, I just come up with the dumbest names possible. So you got like Daryl, you got Lee, just stupid names. So I got this bachelor group of 3, and first time in my life that I was like, like I'm killing that deer. Like I'm gonna chase that deer. And so 2020 came around, and I had this bachelor group of 3 every single day, about 10 o'clock in the morning in daylight, cameras about 20 yards from my stand. And I was like, opening morning, I'm killing again. Like 2 years in a row, opening morning, I'm killing a buck. And opening day rolls around, still had them on camera. And I sat until noon, opening morning, and didn't see a deer. And never got that bachelor group on camera again. So it just kind of, there was that shift in like summer pattern to fall pattern. And it just so happened that it was season opened. So the deer that I was really chasing, there were 3 in the group. It was Yadier, Benji, and Jose. And about a week into the season, our neighbor killed one of the 3. Luckily, it was the smallest of the 3. Not luckily, but it was the smallest of the 3. And the one buck in particular, his name was Benji. He was a typical 5 on one side, and the other side was, I don't even know how to explain it. He had basically a triple split brow, and then like a dagger point off the base of his brows. It's about 13 inches that shoots off the back. And that was the buck that I wanted to kill the most. And after season rolled around, just disappeared off the camera in total. And so I ran that's about an 80 acre piece. I had about 10 cameras on that piece that I was moving around nonstop and just trying to find him, and never got another picture of him. And about 3 weeks into the season, I decided he was gone, moved on, found another piece that he was going to call home for the fall. And so I moved my focus to another buck I called Daryl that showed up. And like I said, stupid names. So Daryl was probably 140 inch, mainframe 10, and just a giant. So I kind of focused all my time on him. Again, moving cameras around, hanging stands, just try to kill that buck. And had my best friend up one morning. He had him at 5 yards, full draw, couldn't see his pins. So I knew I was getting really close with him. So again, I was just focused on trying to kill that buck. And rolls into the rut, gets to probably pre-rut. So last week of October, bucks are kind of starting to feel some testosterone, starting to feel themselves a little bit. And there's a community scrape up on this one ridge. And so I got a couple cameras up there. There were some scrapes starting to open, and got Daryl up there consistently. So I started hunting him more. And one night, I guess it would have been probably October 25th, October 26th, somewhere right there. Benji, the one from the bachelor group with the that dagger point, showed back up on that scrape. And it was the first time I'd seen him since the summer. And I just about threw my computer through the wall when I was flipping through pictures, because that wasn't a cell cam. And it was one of those that, like, you know how when you kill a big buck and you just get this urge to like launch your bow out of the stand, like you're just that excited, like you don't know. That's what I felt like when I saw that picture, and I was like, yo, he's back, like we're in it. So next day, my best friend, actually, he ended up killing a 9 on one of our other properties that we have that scored, I think he scored 142. So 1 for PA, that's a giant, and you know where we're from. But 2, you know, a mainframe 9 pretty much netted out at 142 is just, you know, that's a solid buck anywhere, to be honest. And so I helped him with that. That was actually also my 1-year anniversary with my girlfriend. Canceled our plans because, you know, I had to go help track this buck. She didn't get that, so we ended up breaking up because of it, by the way. So
side note. So
the next day, so there was classic, right? So there was actually a cold front that was rolling through the next morning. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go drown my sorrows, sit in a stand for the day. So I went up on that ridge where I had the camera, where I got that picture, and I had a really good morning and didn't see that buck. And so I climbed down quick, went and got lunch, got back up in the stand. I left all my shit in the stand, camera, arm, bow, everything. Shouldn't have done that. So I go grab lunch, get back up to the stand, and I'm sitting there for, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. And I was like, you know, I didn't see any of those bucks this morning. I feel like I'm not in the right spot. And if I sit here and I end up getting a picture of one of those bucks with the camera where that scrape is, I'm going to be pissed. So I'm up there for 5-10 minutes. I decide I get all my stuff back in my pack, I climb down and take all my stuff over, and I hang about 75 yards to the north, closer to where that camera is. And I get up in the stand, get all set up, and I'm not sitting there for 15 minutes, and these does come ripping through from the CRP field. And I was like, all right. So I stand up, I get my stuff ready, and next thing I know, Daryl, not the one with the dagger, comes chasing these does through. And he's chasing them around. He's probably 75 yards out, and he ends up leaving. And I texted my buddy, and I was like, hey, you know, just saw Daryl. First time I'd seen him on the hoop all year. And I was like, man, it was, you know, good encounter, whatever. He wasn't that close. So I run a little bit, and next thing I know, he's on a beeline right to me. I was like, this is going to happen. 2 days. You know, my buddy killed last night, I'm going to kill tonight. Comes to about 35 yards, and just one of those big buck things where it's like he knew something was off, but he didn't know what, and he just knew where to go. And gets to 35 yards facing me, and I was like, I'm not shooting a final shot at 35. You know, I just not good. And so he keeps coming, and he's behind this tree, and just decides, nope, turns 180 and walks directly away. And I was like, damn it. So I'm at the point now where I saw pretty much one of my top 2 target bucks comes into range, can't get a shot. And so I'm, you know, borderline about ready to jump out of the stand. You know how it goes when you're bow hunting. You go from like the highest to highs. You see the buck you want to kill. He's in range. Hard part's done. You don't get a shot. And my buddy texts me back, and he's trying to do what any good buddy would do. And he's like trying to talk me up. And he's like, you know, you're going to kill Benji tonight. And I was like, dude, I haven't even seen him all year. Like, I've gotten him on camera a couple times since the start of the season. Not going to happen. And probably 10 or 15 minutes later, I heard a grunt, and I looked over, and he's standing at 45 yards. And it happened so fast that I don't think I had time to get like that pumped up before the shot. And he walks into about 27 broadside, and I shoot and didn't get a pass through. And I was good left and thought I was good left and right, but for some reason didn't get a pass through. And I'm freaking out at this point. Like, I just shot the buck that I had told myself before the season I was going to kill. and just elated. So I call my buddy, he comes up, we go over all the footage. And when I left, I didn't check spot of impact. I backed out, got around as quiet as I could, didn't want to bump him. And so we give him about 2 hours and go up, and there's blood everywhere, like spray on the trees everywhere. And I was like, I'm feeling good about this. And so we start the track, and I don't know how I didn't see him fall. I don't know if I blacked out, but he probably went 50 yards and piled up. And if I said that I didn't cry, I would be a liar. Like, dude, I just lost it. Like I said, it was the first time in my life that I had really tried to target a specific buck, let alone a buck that was that special. And dude, I just lost it. I was like, dude, we just killed 2 days in a row. We both just killed at least 4.5-year-olds. Like, that doesn't happen in Pennsylvania. So we pretty much partied that night, had a great time. And within a day, I had 5 neighbors reach out that I hadn't heard from about deer since I don't know when. I had them all reach out and be like, oh, I had that buck on camera 2 days ago. You know, I've been hunting that buck all year. And that's one of the reasons in PA, like, buck isn't yours because you have it on camera. Like, I had him on camera every single day in the summer and shooting light. Like, that's not my deer. Like, yeah, I targeted him, but I can't stand when people get mad about it, because like my neighbor would have shot it. Like, that buck's on 6-7 different farms. Like, you don't know where he's going to go. Like, as much as we want to say, like, yeah, I had him pattern, he's on my, unless you have a primo piece of property that's like the Drurys where you're holding deer for, 5-6 years, like, that deer's going to do what it wants. And so I think that's one of the reasons that it was so special, is just like it came together. So fast forward, that year in general was just fire. 2020 was for us. Ton of bucks on camera. I passed a ton of bucks that most people in Pennsylvania would probably call me crazy for passing, because I was just so set on these deer. And 2021 rolls around, we start running cams, start trying to scout, and I don't have anything on camera. Like, I got no bucks that I'm like stoked about. So I start trying to get new properties. I land a couple smaller properties, start hunting. And there was really only one buck that was on my hit list for the year. And it was the day our company came out with a vaccine mandate, that day, the first day that I saw him. And so I called him Vax. So I hunted that deer for probably 2 or 3 weeks. And I saw him a couple times, never got a shot opportunity. He wasn't anything super special, but it was the most mature deer that I had. And in PA, and I feel like anywhere in general, to be honest, like, you hunt the best deer you have. And if that's a 2.5-year-old 8-point, it's a 2.5-year-old 8-point. But if it's the most mature deer, if it's a deer that you're set on, man, like, go after him, give him all you got. And so I was hunting him pretty hard, and just ended up, like, he kind of disappeared. So went to another piece of property and ended up hitting a deer that, again, I really didn't have much history on this piece of property. I did a hanging hunt one night on a creek bottom. It was hot. And I was like, these deer, there was standing corn. And I was like, these deer are going to go from the standing corn to the water. And this buck came in, and he got to 47. And I felt comfortable with it. And I was like, he's broadside, he's just feeding. Like, I'm good. I'm gonna take a shot. And I shot, and when I shot, I got a huge mule kick out of him. When he landed, his entire front side buckled. And from the footage and from the looks of it, I was like, man, I center punched him. Like, he's down. And went over the footage with my buddy again. He agreed. So we went in and started tracking him, and not a lot of blood. Couldn't figure out, like, we tracked him probably 500 yards, decided we didn't want to push him. And based on the shot, it was one of those where he's either dead within 100 yards or he's going to go a long way. And we got to a certain point, we were like, look, we're just going to back out. We're going to come back in the morning and track. And that night we got about 2.5 inches of rain. And so no blood, all of it got washed away, called the tracking dog. And the guy said, he's like, look, like, you got this much rain. He's like, rain is good for the tracking dogs, but this much rain, like, good luck. So dog gets on him. We go, I don't know, another 1,000 yards probably. We went a long way. And couldn't find him. And the guy basically said, look, like, this deer's probably going to be fine. Like, based on the footage you showed me, I'm assuming you probably got the front shoulder, didn't get penetration through it. He'll be fine. And I honestly wasn't cool with that. So I spent the next 2 days gridding the cornfields, gridding the creek bottom, never found the deer. And I had a trip to Iowa for a week. So I had to leave the next day after I grid searched for about 2 days for Iowa. Went out there. We ended up killing out there. And when I came back, we had about 6 days left to hunt in PA. And I still wasn't really getting anything great on camera, but I don't know, my balls off anyways, still trying to hang cams, still trying to just find something, and couldn't do it. So when I checked a camera after I got back, you know, season had ended, I pulled some of my cameras, and when I was out in Iowa, one of the cameras was just lighting up with bucks, like more bucks than I'd seen all year. And one of them happened to be Yadier, who from the year past he was the third buck in the Bachelor group and the biggest buck at that point in the Bachelor group from 2020. Just a mainframe 8 in 2020, he probably would have gone 140, 145 as a solid, just straight 8 point. And I had a picture of him. First time I'd seen him since the Bachelor group in 2020. Never got a picture of him during that season. Never got a picture of him in the summer of 21. Never got a picture of him during any time. And he showed up while I was in Iowa, first time. And I was like, I don't even know where to start with this deer. Like, I have no pattern on him this year. I don't know where he came from. I don't know where he's been. I'm sure he was just on a hot doe. But at this point in the season, I was like, look, like, I had my chance. The only deer I'm shooting is that deer. Like, you can hunt with a bow during rifle season in PA. So I was like, I'm going to go out and I'm just going to target this deer. Like, I hit one, I didn't recover it. You know, if I don't kill one, that's my fault. I didn't execute when I should have. And so I hunted probably another 2 weeks with my bow and just couldn't get it done. Passed some smaller bucks again, and I was getting up. I hunted pretty much every morning. My job, I have a lot of flexibility. Like, as long as I get my work done, I can do it whenever I need to. So I can pretty much hunt any morning that I want. So I was going out every morning. This property is about an hour from my house. So I'm getting up at like 3 a.m. every single morning, going out, hanging and hunting, trying to get this deer killed with my bow. Still hadn't seen him. And we film all of our stuff. And so I'm like, I mean, you guys know how it is. Like, you're lugging cameras, you're lugging sticks, you're lugging stand, your bow, everything. It gets like, it's tiring. Like as physically tiring as it is, like, mentally, it's just like a drag sometimes. And I got to the point one afternoon, I was pretty much done with the season. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to take a gun out. And I've only ever killed, to that point, I had only ever killed 2 deer with a gun. I killed my first buck when I was 11 with a gun. And then I killed one while I was in college. I had taken my girlfriend out with me one night and I killed one with a gun. But other than that, every deer that I've ever killed was with a bow. I killed my first one when I was 11. And so I feel like my buddies and like people on Instagram and people that follow us, like, that's how they see me. And I was like, you know what? I'm leaving all the camera gear at home. I'm leaving my bow at home. I'm just going to go out and have fun. Like, I want to get back to like actually enjoying it and just like hunting for me. And I went out that night and I actually had a conference call for work at 3:30. And I was like, I'm just going to go out for a little bit. I'm going to sit in the blind, you know, I don't have to talk on the call. So, I'll just like whip it up quick on my phone, just kind of enjoy myself out in the woods. And so the call was at 3:30, and I may or may not have fallen asleep for a little bit in the blind. I wake up at like 3. And I was like, I should probably get ready for this call. And I look up out of the blind, and I was like, oh, there's a couple does. It's pretty early. So I'm getting ready to log on. I was like, I should probably do one more scan just to make sure. And I look up, and that buck is standing at 75 yards broadside. And I was like, there's no way. Like, is that actually him? And so I look at my phone. It's like 3:25. I was like, all right, I got 5 minutes to get this deer killed. So I pulled up balls. And at this point, it's like, I got 3 minutes. I got to get on this call. I call my buddy, and I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I think somebody killed Yachty there. And he's like, why? Like, what makes you say that? Did somebody send you something? And I was like, cause I just killed him, dude. And he's laying dead and it's a CRP field that's got like some lanes cut in it. And so I'm like, all right, I got 2 minutes. So I hang up and I run out, and, I saw him go down. I run down this lane. I can't find him. And I'm like, oh man. So I run back to the blind. Turns out I ran down the wrong lane. And I see him laying there, and I looked at him for about 2 seconds, and I was like, I want people to be here with me when I like pick him up. So I left, went back, and got my dad, and my buddy came up at my call and told my dad I shot a doe. I was like, hey, last day I felt like I needed to just kill something, end the season on a high note, kill the doe. So we walk up, and I let him I acted like I didn't see it fall. And I was like, yeah, I shot somewhere right here. And we walk up, and like the butt's kind of laying out, and he's like, oh, there she is. And he goes, no way. And that's when I picked him up for the first time, and I realized like how big he was. And again, I had people out of the woodwork telling me that they had seen this deer for 3 years, that they were hunting him, blah, blah, blah. And I don't usually score deer, but this one I was like, he's a straight 8-point. And I was like, I need to know. So I had my taxidermist rough score him, and he's like, you got a guess? And I was like, maybe 150. And turns out he measured at 161 and some change as a straight 8. And I didn't believe. So I went down to the taxidermist again, and I was like, we're going to measure him again. And so we restarted the whole thing, and 161 and some change again. So just an absolute giant of a deer. And honestly, 3 years in a row is special. But the cool thing about it is like all 3 bucks were such different like situations. Like the first year that I killed, like my buddy basically set me up for it. Like I didn't really feel like I deserved that deer. Obviously I put in the work shooting and stuff, but the second year was just on fire. I was on deer all year. I was like, I knew that they were there all year. And then this past one was just a grind, and just trying to like find a deer basically. And obviously I ended up shooting that one with a gun, but yeah, that's basically the last 3 years recapped in too short of a time. But
I mean, I'll take them 3 years for sure. I don't think anybody around here is going to be complaining about that, but it is cool that you did mention that there at the end, that how each one was so different. And that's kind of like how Cody and I are really starting to discuss deer, is just from one year to the next, at how a specific deer will change, or how the different deer that we're chasing are different from each other in that perspective. Some deer are roamers, they're going over 2 miles a day, and then we have other deer that are literally just right in this little block of timber and not moving. And we're getting a lot more pictures of them and a couple encounters with them. So it is cool to notice them subtle differences that happen from deer to deer. Did on 2 of the deer, you said that, you know, you had the neighbors reaching out to you, saying that they were on cam and such. That's one thing that Cody and I really enjoy is after we do kill a buck, and you know we do have that situation to learn from the neighbors or something, and we've said it on here before. Like when we do kill, we learn like so much at that moment of like because we were successful there. Did you learn anything off the neighbors about that deer or any of the other deer?
So, yes and no. Our one neighbor, so that particular farm, my dad actually, he lives on the farm. We don't own it. But, you know, I was kind of spoiled growing up. It was a property that we have permission on that we just also happened to live on when I was growing up. And like I said, from where I live now, that's about an hour. But we've gotten to know the neighbors really well. And one of them has reached out for both of the last 2 years. And I've learned he's a jackass. He'll message me on Facebook every year that I kill one. And I'm not going to name drop, but he'll say without any doubt, it'll just say, "What that buck score?" Like that's all he cares about. Won't share anything about deer that he's gotten in the summer. Won't like nothing. Like all he cares about is the score. And like I said, I did score this one from the last year, but like I'm not into that. Like if a buck makes you happy, like up and it's the biggest buck they've ever seen or they're jacked about it, like I don't care if it's can't shoot a spike, but I don't care if it's a spike. Like if you're jacked, I'll be more jacked than you. But our other neighbor got a really good relationship with as far as sharing deer. A lot of the time our side of the property is in the CRP program, so there's no crops, so the food source is pretty much just browse and acorns. And on his property, he's got a bunch of food plots. He's got a bunch of ag fields, that kind of thing. So you get a lot of deer that transition back and forth. So we get a lot of the same deer. And the last 4 or 5 years, we've been on the same page as far as, hey, like we got this buck, like let's pass this buck. And we've really found that early in the year, he kills usually within the first 2 weeks, those deer that we see, because he's got the food. And then usually we kill later in the year because we have a lot of the bedding because it's all CRP. So all the does hang in the CRP. And then when it comes post rut time, you get a lot of the bucks that end up filtering back to us. So it's been a little bit easier patterning deer, talking with the neighbors, just because we've figured out, okay, like early season, like let's find somewhere else because all the deer are going to be over on him on food. When it comes to rut, that's when we need to get in. And the other thing is like, that way we don't overhunt our property. I say our property, but we don't overhunt that property early in the season thinking, oh, we got these bucks on cam, like they're killable, which if you have a deer pattern, maybe, but like, it's not worth burning the spot out if you know that they're going to be on the neighbor's early season. So it's just kind of allowed us to utilize some different properties, try to find some new spots early season, and then really kind of dive in there, like first virgin sits when it comes rut time, when those bucks are actually going to be there.
I kind of did the same thing you did on a buck I called Homeboy. I can't remember what year that was.
That's probably 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was right before we started.
I had a ton of pictures of him, had all the way up to season. When I pulled the cam, 3 or 4 days before season, he was still there. Literally have pictures of him in his bed, laid down, put a camera up high, shooting down. Was all over him, thought I was going to kill him opening day. Went in there in the morning and never seen that deer. And then he left and I ended up killing him in the rut. I never got another trail cam picture of him. And the year before that, he stayed on that property the whole entire year. Never left. Summered there, followed there. I seen him like 8 times, got both of his sheds. Like, he was just there. So me going in that one time early season, and I think it was the last trail cam pool that I did. And because he was on that trail cam a lot less, that 5 days before season. Went in there, pulled that trail cam, and then that first hunt, bumping him or whatever, and he was gone. So I know you kind of have the same similar on your story on your second buck where, it was early, you thought you had him, and then I think it's really hard to do that unless you got a buck like Pickles, and that's an evening buck where you can go in there and he's just going to a food source in the evening. But I mean, I don't know how long we've been hunting. We've never had a buck like Pickles. We had Sunshine, but he flaked on us,
for 3 weeks.
but
Yeah.
Pickles held true. So.
Well, that's the tough thing that I found. Like, we're starting to run more and more cell cams, and I know you guys are younger. Like, I'm only 25, so like I'm building my camera inventory, but like half of the cameras that I have are like wild game cameras that I got 3 years ago before I could afford to buy some nicer stuff. So, but that's the one thing I've noticed about like cell cams is, you're getting pics of these bucks, consistently in the daylight before the season or even in season. And you're like, he's daylight, I got to get in there. Well, the reason he's daylight in there is because you're not going in.
Mm-hmm.
So like the minute you go in to try to hunt him, all of a sudden something's different. And, these mature bucks, especially like in PA where it's so pressured, like they know that difference, like whether it's wind or thermals, like they know. So you might have them on camera consistently, but that doesn't mean that they're huntable. They're in there consistently right now for us because we're not in there checking cameras. We're not in there, jacking around. And the moment you go in, if it's not right, or if he's bedding on a hillside where he can see, like he's out of there. And it only takes 1 or 2 times. Like I know guys are into like the bump and dump stuff right now, but like on our pieces of property, most of these big mature bucks, like you mess it up 1 or 2 times, like he's gone. And, a lot of the neighbors hunt, a lot of like chances of you killing him just went way down. So I think understanding like the property itself is a huge part of it. Like just because you have him on camera consistently doesn't mean that he's killable right now. Like he might be there, but that doesn't mean that that's the time to kill him.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like the last 3 years, like the last buck, sound like that was like just a hard work buck. You had a mishap, kept hunting, kept pushing, and went. A lot of times that's what happens. Like I was having a tough year, and then decided to take my kid hunting and didn't really worry about the camera gear and didn't do much, and then you kill. So that's a lot of times that's when it happens when you're just out there like, it's not going to happen. We're coloring in the blind. We're loud as hell. We're got in late, haven't seen anything, and then boom, you end up killing something. But sometimes I think it was meant to happen like that. You're meant to have that moment, not worried about the camera, get you jacked back up after the mishap. I was supposed to have that moment with my boy instead of so he was looking out the window instead of me worrying about the camera. Stuff like that's supposed to happen, I think.
Well, and the one thing I learned was like after 2020, so the second buck that I talked about, like I had said after that season, I'm like, that's the hardest I've worked for a buck. Like, but then after 21, like I realized like they were 2 different types of a grind. Like 2020, like I hunted my ass off all year, but I was close all year. I knew that I was close. I was seeing good bucks. I was passing really good bucks. And I knew I was right there. Like in every sit, I was like, this could be the one. Like I'm in it. And then 21, like I hunted the same amount, but it was a different kind of grind. Like it was a hard type 2 kind of grind. Like after it was over, I was like, man, that was worthwhile. So they were different. And to be honest, in 21, like I wouldn't be going out that much and getting myself up that early and working that hard if I didn't love it. But it got to the point where like I was just going out out of like desperation almost. And that break from like the camera and the break from like feeling like there was pressure on me from everybody to get one killed, and just going out and hunting, like for the reason that I started. I was like, I just want to go out and just enjoy like being out, like ditch everything. Like, I don't really care like if I get the film or not. I don't care what people say. Like, I just want to go out and have fun.
Yeah.
And it ended up happening, and I don't know if that's fate or what, but
Yeah, when you're used to packing all that shit in, like, you know, all three of us on this call are, and, you know, it starts becoming a chore, especially when shit's not coming together, it's not clicking, and then you throw a mishap on top of it, and then you really don't think it's going to be happening, and then it's late in the ball game, and you're like, shit, man, we only got 10 days left, and it starts to wear on you, and I'll say, like, you know, it is refreshing to go out there for, you know, maybe 2 hunts in a row, just you out there chilling again and really clear your head. And you're like, you realize how much time, you know, running a camera in a tree occupies when you don't have it. Cause you're like, oh man, if I had a camera, I'd be like trying to film some shit or something. Like, I'm just out here doing nothing right now. You know, I'm just enjoying myself, enjoying the sit. And, then when you are sitting there and you have all that extra time, like, you get to really reflect on like why you're doing it. Think back to a hunt or something, you know, where you did get a kill on film, and, you know, you get to relive it and be like, okay, you know, reset here, I'm good to go, and, you know, next time, and then get another good push in. So it is refreshing, and I think it is something that you do have to do if it becomes too taxing, you know, just to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of work, like lugging all that shit in and like filming and stuff. But like when it does pay off, like both bucks that I killed, like the first 2 stories, like I got great film. It all came together. And like watching that with buddies, and like for a couple of reasons. Like, one, you can see the shot, you can figure out like, okay, how long do I need to give that deer, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But like, it's so cool going back like 3, 4, you know, however many years later, and getting to watch it and see that genuine reaction of like your excitement. Like, you can feel it again. And I'm like, unfortunately, I won't get to feel that with this last one that I killed. But like, at the same time, I was so invested in that moment because like there was no camera. Like, I was just out there, me and the deer. Like, I was in the moment. Like, I wasn't worrying about, is he in frame? And it's just like, so, like, I don't need to watch it. Like, I got it. And yeah, like it was different for me. It was the first one that I killed not on film in a long time. And I didn't, like, my buddy that I filmed with, like, he wasn't upset. He's like, dude, like, you needed that. And that was just like almost reassuring, like, all right, like, we're good.
You got to wrap it up here. You talked about filming. You guys have a YouTube channel that our listeners could go check it out, or Instagram or anything where this content's at?
Yeah, well, not the one from this past year, but yeah, every other hunt. So it's TNT Outdoors, and we have some stuff on there. And then we did a year where we gave some of our film to a group named Rack Daddies, and Axel does a bunch of editing and stuff for Major League Bow Hunter, Solo Hunter, Matt Buspis, who, you know, I'll keep my opinions to myself on that one, but yeah. he does a phenomenal job of editing stuff. And we were like, you know, we got some good footage this year, like, we're gonna let you play with it and run with it. So we got some cool stuff over there. We did a pheasant hunt with our bows, so some cool stuff over there. But yeah, TNT Outdoors, you can see pretty much all of our whitetail hunts, turkey hunts, different states, road trips, stuff like that.
Nice. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. Anytime.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode talking about some PA buck action. Like I said, he has killed 9 bucks in multiple different states. Iowa, I know, is one of them he was mentioning. I know there's a couple more we didn't get into, but an absolute killer hunter coming up in the game, learning. Really enjoys listening to our podcast. It was cool for him to talk about some of the episodes that he really liked, and liked our style of how we keep it loose and rolling out here. Like always, we love you guys. We appreciate you tuning in every week. We can see it in the numbers and everything. People are starting to think about whitetails a little bit more every week. So we appreciate you guys being here, and going to keep bringing the content every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time, right in your ear holes. Always try to do the right thing. Try to leave a legacy, and Whitetail Legacy is out.